Hello and welcome to the test hands of our MIKANKO deck profile. Hopefully you enjoyed the deck profile, check it out if you haven't. And now, before we get right into the test hands, let me remind you of our 3 options for next week's deck profile and test hands. Obviously we still have the tier elements, we have the Gate Guardians and new edition, a potential deck profile about Sword Soul. So if you're interested in any of that, let me know in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss said videos. But now let's get right into it. Okay, so we're coming here into the test hands. I've already pile shuffled the deck, but again, we want to give it a shuffle in front of the cam. And yeah, so just before we go in, please remember this deck is relatively very simple, I have to be honest. It can't do all too much besides summoning some cute, pretty, whatever dancers. I mean, most turns, especially like if we go first here, for example, first and foremost, we don't really build a lot of negates. Obviously, if you're here, I think you might already know some stuff about MIKANKO and just want to see some stuff that you can expect if you're going to build the deck. Already we have our best going first MIKANKO, really Nini. Again, the snatch steal in opponent's turn can be quite helpful. What else do we have? We have our searcher, Uhime. We have the new one, Lee, searching the trap, which is very neat. Obviously, if an equip card is on the field, then all our MIKANKOs are safe. Then we have a ward breaker going second, and we have our best card, or second best card really, the Arbalest. So this card can be used as discard fodder for this. Sadly, we don't really have an easy way to generate a target for this, right? If our opponent had summoned a monster, we could equip him or his monster with this card and then go from there to get the special summon and so on. If we, for example, normal summoned Lee and equipped her with the Arbalest, got the effects and so on, everything fine, then Lee would still go back to our hand. We could summon out another Lee with this. But honestly, I am a bit conflicted about that. I think the Arbalest and the Kaiju are decent tools going second. So with these 3 we can already establish what we want. The only issue is we really need to discard one of these 2. And again, I would go for the Kaiju Slumber. So in this, we can activate the effect of Uhime, and with the Uhime we are going to search the Fire Dance, which allows us to get multiple monsters onto the field, because we can special summon from hand or graveyard. So it's not only a monster reborn, it also allows us to summon from hand. It special summons a monster from your opponent's graveyard, but as far as I understand the card, then you can, means then can. If there's no monster in opponent's graveyard, then that should be fine. Uhime's effect means that we now have to discard 1 card. That will be the Slumber. That's pretty sad. It's a pretty good card, but well, let's get going. So now the order of things actually matters, how we're going to approach this. It doesn't really matter, but it's important that you use Fire Dance on Lee, because we really need the trap to set up a at least decent turn 1 board. So in this case, we can just activate the Fire Dance and special summon Lee from our hand. This will activate her both of her effects. First, now MIKANKOs can't be targeted by card effects. Pretty good. And then we get to search the Rivalry, which... where is it? Didn't I? The MIKANKO Rivalry. Pretty neat card to set us up for our turn. Get to hand. Then we can normal summon the Nini, set the Rivalry here really, and that would be our turn. Again, We are an OTK Go second deck. We play Kaijus in our main, we play lots of hand traps, lots of ward breakers. Our monsters really work well if we attack into our opponent. Our going first boards aren't really insane. And I don't think in this test video I need to show you how to summon a Kaiju to your opponent's board and then attack with Nini for, I don't know, 3000 damage. That's cool and all, but I think it's more difficult for this deck to get first turn stuff out because, well, sometimes you have to go first. Your opponent maybe forces you to go first, and I think these two cards here are what you are aiming for. And then additionally, now we activate in our opponent's turn the Rivalry, which, well, if you control a MIKANKO monster, target one monster on the field and equip it with something. That is pretty nice. And we have, I guess some options, because it doesn't state that you have to equip a MIKANKO card with it. What does that actually mean? That means, in my eyes, we have 3 options. Okay, so let's talk about the 3 options here. I think this is overall more interesting or more informative than showing how to use a Kaiju. So, either we could go for the Purification Dance, which would be, as I mentioned, in the deck profile, which you hopefully have checked out. This is some sort of bounce, right? So if your opponent special summons a monster, you can target one monster you control and one monster your opponent controls, send them both to hand. So in this case, well, if you would send Nini to hand, right, this would also go into the graveyard, which, I mean, hey, that could be a bit bad. I mean, we have some recursion, but hey. So this, obviously a bounce effect, right, is pretty good, but the cost is huge as well, right? This works really good with Hare because Hare has no lingering effect, or not lingering, like permanent effect, or like really positive effect in your opponent's turn. So if you have a Hare randomly out on your field going first, equipping her with Purification Dance, I think that's pretty good. You also get her off the field in case you need to do that. Then again, this says monster, so you can use the 2 Nini based equip spells to equip our opponent with it and either snatch steal it or bounce it to special summon, right? If you equip Abaresk with it, then you bounce the opponent's monster, special out Hare, and this equips to Hare, which then lets you search another equip spell to hand. So that would be a big positive as well, preparing for your next turn. So going over it in quick succession, this one is a bounce, but with these 2 on field, less optimal. This one, Abaresk into Hare, would set you up for your next turn, which is good, but it depends on the overall game state, of course. And then obviously you can also use Rondo to snatch steal an opponent's monster. I left out the Mayowashidori, not only because it's hard to pronounce, but also because all of these directly do something as an equip spell. This, in this case, especially in your opponent's turn, wouldn't really offer you much. But I think in this case it might be the best option because you really need an equip spell on your Nini, so her effect to snatch steal comes live, right? Sure, you could snatch steal her spell effect, which I think might be better, but there's obviously also an added benefit of equipping your Nini, so it can't be destroyed by card effect, right? The MIKANKOs are protected by battle themselves, but the card effect protection comes from most, if not all, of the equip spells. So in this case, sure, she can't be targeted, but maybe you want to be extra sure. So I think these 2 here are really the best options going off your Rivalry in most cases, unless you really have an option for the Purification Dance. So this was our first test hand. Took a long while, but I want to explain the thoughts behind this because obviously I assume, especially with a less known deck like the MIKANKOs, you want to see what you can do. Okay, so finished shuffling again. I'm going to continue shuffling on cam, and well, I hope that is enough for you. So let's see what our top 5 cards are. This going first, you know how it goes. If there's no target, we can snatch steal. The fire dance, okay, if we have a MIKANKO in hand, we can summon something. Another time we get the slumber, the Yuli, okay, so that's at least something, and a rondo. We have a few options here with this, of course. So I would argue that we use the Aberrask here to bounce our normal summon. It will look pretty weird, but I think we can try to get to the same game state as we were before, which, I mean, sadly it won't be anything new, but main deck wise this deck can only really provide so much going first. So we would normal summon the Yuli here, then we equip her with the Aberrask, which first would let us special summon out a monster. In this case, because we already have the Fire Dance in hand, we can actually go for the exact same line, summon out the Nini. I don't need to shuffle actually, we don't. Well, whatever. And then that would add Yuli to hand, and Aberrask would equip to Nini. So our Nini is actually live for our opponent's turn. Absolutely great. And then we still have the Fire Dance really in hand. So we activate Fire Dance, special summon out the Yuli, and Yuli would then search us the Rivalry again, and then, well, to hand. And so again we have the same setup, we have it live even without Rivalry, so we have in theory a few more options. Again, both can't be destroyed by card effect, both can't be destroyed by battle, and they can't be targeted by card effects. So like our girls here, they're actually kind of like towers, so your opponent actually needs to have something to get rid of them, right? I mean, most modern decks have something, but maybe they struggle, or at least you get to attack, you get into your turn. This is something that might be underestimated with these cards, right? It looks like, okay, we've summoned 2 monsters here. What do? They don't look very impressive, but they're quite formidable in themselves. Anyway, we have for our second turn Snatch Steal, which again, it's in our hand. We can't use it with Rivalry to use it in our opponent's turn. And we have the Kaiju Slumber. If everything really goes to hell in a handbasket, we can Kaiju and then cope from there. But always remember, it also destroys your monsters. So yeah, Rivalry here in this case. Yeah, I mean, there are not many options. Again, Aberrask for Hare in our opponent's turn to set up for more plays. But we already have access to most of our equip spells, right? Again, remember, we play a lot of one-offs. In some cases, it can be a bit annoying, right, in grind game scenarios, but you just never want to see a hand full of your equip spells and no MIKANKOs or no monsters. That's just unfortunate then. Then again, we can search the Purification Dance, which is alright. So like potentially you first use your Nini, right? Nini is already live. So you first Snatch Steal a monster, then you go Rivalry, equip Purification Dance to a Nini, and then if they special summon another monster, then you could bounce Nini and bounce the opponent's monster. It wouldn't be that bad, right? Mayo Washidori, again, it's a more proactive card, right? It has a bounce effect, but only after you've attacked. So it's mostly interesting for your turn. And obviously it has some sort of a revival effect, which is not live here at this point. So with Rondo in hand, these already on the field, we only have 2 options. Not this one. We only have really 2 options of our Rivalry. But again, we managed to get full combo. We're actually pretty lucky with this. Our draws so far were pretty good. Remember, we play a lot of Kaijus, and going first really is not what the deck wants to do. We are, I mean, you could say blind second. Again, we can do this, which I think is alright, but it can be a bit troublesome. Like, this is the perfect setup really for going first, and overall you might actually try to get as many second games as you want. Your Mikanko's whole gimmick of attacking into high attack point monsters, especially set up with any form of kaiju or the Nibiru here, that's what you want to do. So try to go second as many times as you can. Anyway, hopefully seeing this go first combo, which again is more unusual for this deck, and as such I think has more educational value, if I may say so. Hopefully that has been decently interesting. Maybe you learned something new. Obviously the 2 new cards that came out, I think just 2 days ago, I think they've enriched the deck so far, but we need a bit more support, and again it is on the horizon, so stay tuned for more Mikanko content. So that concludes today's test hands from our Mikankos. Hope you enjoyed it. I mean, I think the deck is pretty fun overall, a bit unique, and they still need some more support, and there is some on the horizon, but well, we'll have to see how the deck can adjust in the future. So far, already fun and many different things it can do, as you just saw. And before we say bye bye, I remind you again of the 3 decks that you may want to see next week. Let me know down below, and don't forget to subscribe to not miss out on set deck profiles. And now, till next week, bye bye.